The Mac Observer's Mac Geek Gab, episode 882 for Monday, July 26th, 2021.
Dave Hamilton and Jon F. Braun. They are the geeks that turn us on. Talking Mac and iOS. And Pilot Pete might be the guest. They often speak in terminal. They make it cool if you don't know. Just stick around, you'll understand just how to enter those commands. Dave Hamilton and Jon F. Braun. Don't get caught.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to the Mac Observer's Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in your questions, your tips, your cool stuff found. We take all of those things, we mash them together into an agenda, and we loosely follow the agenda because the goal is for each and every one of us to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Sponsors for this episode include Otherworld Computing with their USB-C Travel Dock and BBEdit with their new BBEdit 14. We will talk more about each of those things shortly here. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in Fairfield, Connecticut, this is Jon F. Braun.
And we'll thank Kurt Lee for creating that intro. I think he wrote that for us like 10 years ago, but I keep it in the files and like to break it out every now and then. So nicely done, Mr. Lee. Let's get to some quick tips, shall we, John?
Indeed.
All right. Gene brings us the first one, and we will read it in fist shake take style. Completely hidden in the Photos app is a robust map view for geotagged photos. When viewing a single photo, you can scroll the photo up to reveal a map showing the photo's location on a fairly detailed scale map. Of course, the scroll bar is on the right is hidden until you scroll, giving no indication that there is something there. And this even happens if you have always show scroll bars turned on in the general system preference pane. I don't know why that's the case, John. Maybe it's so that the photo can sort of live on the screen when it's in full window mode. I don't know. You can't seem to get to this find map view going through the info panel, and the places view is completely useless for locating an individual photo. I've been trying to get a good map view from the info panel for quite some time now. One more example of Apple hiding good things. Yeah, this is cool. I had no idea this is there, and it's not just a map view. If there are people in the photo, the icons for the people will show up there, and then you can go to the people. If you go to the map view, it'll show, as he said, where the photo was taken on the map. And you can click on that and see more photos that were taken in the same location. So that's a pretty cool little, I had no idea. And I have the always show scroll bars turned on. So that's a second little quick tip. If you go to System Preferences and then go to General, and I'm going there now just to make sure it's there. But yeah, it's there's a show scroll bars automatically when scrolling or always. And I am very much an always person. I like to see scroll bars. I like to know that they're there. And this sort of throws you off if you don't know. So that's what I got. Anything on that, or should we move on, Mr. Braun?
I'm going to try it out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's cool. It really, like, I love finding these little hidden things. It's great. All right. Bob brings us, this was interesting. He found a support article called If Your Mac Battery Won't Charge. And in that article, it talks about resetting the SMC, something we talk about all the time and something we talk about doing only on Intel Macs. Well, here's what Apple says. Reset the SMC, which controls how your Mac manages power. If you have a Mac with Apple Silicon, just restart your computer. For other Mac computers, see this other support article about how to reset the SMC. So this tells me that whatever the analog is to SMC, which might just be SMC in Apple Silicon, is reset on every restart of the computer, which is interesting. It's good to know that a restart does more than just a restart. which it should. Like we have seen very little negative impact of resetting the SMC on Intel Macs. So it makes sense that why not just, reset whatever that is there. So nice find, Bob. I love these little hidden gems. Is good. More? You've got one from another Bob, I think, right?
Yep. From Bob. I guess this is a follow-up. From your Apple Watch, you can do something like this. Hey, S-Lady, remind me when I get home, mumble, mumble, mumble. You will get a reminder when you get back home. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, as long as you have your home address set, which it tries to really intuit. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I like it. It's good. One last quick tip we have from listener Craig here, John, who reminds us, he says, simply by accident, I stumbled onto a nice quick feature in the macOS dock. There is a separator bar between those items permanently in the dock and those items which have just been recently used. And then there's another separator bar between those and the trash can. If you fix your cursor on either of these separator bars and right-click, you will get a dock system preferences menu. This is especially helpful when using a dual monitor setup, as the dock can shift from one display to the other. Now, using this technique, rather than having to use multiple clicks through system preferences, I can reposition the dock directly with only one click, or maybe two. Very cool, Pensacola Craig. I like it. Yep, it is one of those handy little things, and it's, again, not obvious. The beauty, the epitome, in fact, of the quick tip. So, it's good. Thoughts on that before we move on to cool stuff found, Mr. Braun?
Moving on.
We will let Todd take it away, I think.
Hey, John, Dave, and sometimes Pilot Pete. A.D.D. Todd out of Utah here. Current release of Mac Geek Gab. Steer mouse was recommended. Went ahead and did a little bit of quick research. Got a golden oldie that may do the job better and or cheaper. And the guy's been doing it for roughly, according to the info as I skimmed through the pages, since before OS 10, USB Overdrive. Like all the other replacement drivers, they don't touch Apple-specific drivers, Apple mouse, Apple keyboard, Apple touchpad. But, hey, he's been doing it for a long time. He's up to Big Sur. He may even go ahead and step into the M1 level, whatever OS is going to be running from there. OS 11. Sorry, brain dead. Brain fart even. Anyway, I haven't been caught. You don't get caught either. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. Very good stuff. Yeah, I forgot about USB Overdrive. That's he's right. That's a golden oldie. But he's also right that it has been updated, I think, within even the last few weeks with another Big Sur related update. So very cool. Thanks, man. That's the idea behind Cool Stuff Found. You want to take us to listener John? John?
Yep.
Cool.
All right. John has another one for people that want to get a PDF of a whole web page. This is something that he does pretty often at work. He used to use a Chrome extension called Awesome Screenshot, but I now found that a Chrome extension GoFullPage is far superior. It uses scrolling of the page to stitch together a full screenshot of a web page. You can then simply click the download PDF. If you upgrade to their premium version, you can also edit, annotate, share, and do other things, but I found the basic good enough for me. Only issue for sites like our main site, which has frozen elements, is they will appear multiple times in the screenshot. No way around that, really. And
cool.
We'll link to that.
Cool. I got, well, on that topic, I finally got the answer I've been looking for, John. And it came from many of you. I'll read Jeff's email, but it came from, I think, Scott and Steve as well, and maybe even Sean. There were many S's involved, but I will read Jeff's email, who says, in Geek Gab 882 and prior, you discussed difficulties in printing web pages from Safari. I have found that in macOS Big Sur, I am able to get excellent renderings of dynamic or static web pages by selecting Export to PDF from Safari's file menu and simply saving the file to my drive. The export will include the entire length of the active web page, not just the part that's visible on the screen. And it's totally right. It makes it not really conducive to printing, of course, because you probably don't have a printer that prints to paper that's that long, but or it'll be very narrow if it shrinks it down to fit on one page. But yes, this is exactly what I was looking for, is a way to get a PDF of a single web page, and it was right there in Safari's file menu the whole time. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who sent that in. That's it's nice to put a cap on that one, John. You got some cool stuff found, man.
Yeah, so I saw mumblings in my Twitter feed about something called the Apple MagSafe battery pack. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds neat. Let me get one. So went to the Apple site. I used Apple Pay, which is fun, and I put it on my Apple card.
Of course.
And it came a few days later. So what is it? It's a battery pack, but it connects using the MagSafe protocol to your iPhone 12.
Interesting. So
yeah,
you can't use it with a third-party case, I would assume, right?
Oh, yes. It works with my case.
Really?
Yeah, I got one of the spec clear cases. So
Okay.
yeah, it goes through the case. So, all right, so there are two things. So one, you charge it with Lightning, and it didn't come fully charged.
Okay.
I think it's about 1,400 milliamp hours, so it's not quite a full charge. And the phone knows this, so it's interesting. When I hooked it up to the phone, an alert came up saying iPhone can charge to approximately 90%. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a nice to let me know that. And then, because, Apple makes the whole thing, so check this out. So, and you get two status indicators. One, when you hook it up, is the progress that your phone has made, and then it also shows the battery level of the battery pack.
That's cool.
Can you see that? Yeah, see it there?
Those
see
people
the two
watching the
circles?
video can see it. Yeah, that for sure. In Control Center on your iPhone.
Mhm.
I see it. Yep. Okay, so it just adds one. Just like it would add your Apple Watch's battery, and I think there's other things that you can have added there. So, okay, so it just adds it to Control Center on your iPhone. Very cool, man.
And I just noticed something. See, my phone is flashing.
Yes.
I think that must be infrared.
Yeah, it would have to be. Yeah, if your phone is flashing in the camera on your computer, then that would be. Yeah, I guess that you're right.
Oh,
That would
okay.
be infrared, right?
So the Brio can see.
The Logitech Brio sees infrared. Yeah,
Well, pretty neat.
maybe that's, or is it? What would be infrared? Does the Face ID camera?
I believe yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. So there's two modes. So you can either slap it on the back of your phone and let it charge, but if the other thing you can do is you can charge it while it's charging your phone, and
Okay.
that actually, from what I read, it actually will provide a little more power if it's being powered itself. So.
Oh, I see. It can pass some of that through, you mean, while it's still okay. Huh? That's cool. Very
Yeah.
cool, man.
How
How much was it?
I mean, $99 is probably a little expensive for the capacity that this has, but
Yeah, I agreed. But, it's Apple and convenient and, certified and all that good stuff. So,
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, Brian Monroe in the chat room confirmed that the Face ID camera uses an IR flood illuminator to do to facilitate its job. So, yeah, cool. Fun. I like it. It's good. Next cool stuff found, right? You want to bring us to Gary?
Oh, yes. Hold on, Gary. Where is he? There he is. All right. He saw something that was posted on Twitter by Senator Feinstein. And it's a site that gives you some tips to avoid ransomware. So it's CISA.gov consumer something, I guess. So the government wants to give you tips to not get ransomware.
That's good. That's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's cool. Gary also shared with us another thing that he was asking about called the Mobile Verification Toolkit, which is available on GitHub. So the source is open and visible and vettable. And the idea is that it is, as their description goes, a collection of utilities to simplify and automate the process of gathering forensic traces, helpful to identify a potential compromise of both Android and iOS devices. So this is to see if you have spyware installed on your phone. The way it works with iOS, as I can tell, is that you have to do a local backup to your phone, and then it inspects that backup to see if there's anything nefarious in there. So yeah, I would say that this is trustable in terms of it's not going to do anything to your phone unless you have it manipulate the backup and then restore that backup to your phone. But yeah, I would that's an interesting thing. Sure. Seems fun. Yeah. Cool. Kansas Dave, John, says that you can also charge AirPods with your MagSafe battery pack, which makes sense because it's just a MagSafe charger. It's a Qi charger, right? So, yeah. Interesting. Cool. Fun. Thoughts on that mobile verification toolkit there, John?
I've got to check it out.
I know it's an interesting thing. Okay, let's see. Jim has a cool stuff found for us. We've talked about similar things over the years, but I don't think this one has ever come up. He says, I am fortunate enough to be retired and be able to spend the winters in Florida. We also usually take a 5 to 6 week long driving vacation in the summer, both of which cause us to be away from our primary residence for about 6 months of the year. During such periods, I leave my internet service online, primarily for the security camera system, but also such things as like water, temperature, and CO sensors to let us know if there is a problem while we are away. I have my provider's gateway in bridge mode connected to my Synology router. And while I have fairly good internet service, there are occasional glitches and outages which occur. In the past, my experience has been sometimes those glitches self-correct on one or both of my boxes, and sometimes a reboot of one or both is necessary. Said reboot from afar is my problem. I can't use a resettable outlet because, of course, there is no reset ability if I don't have Wi-Fi in my house. Chicken and egg. But I came across this. It's called Keep Connect, and I found it to be an excellent way to solve my issues. After a loss of Wi-Fi signal, this device continues to reboot your router, or in my case, both my gateway and my router, in the proper order, no less, until connection is reestablished, all without intervention from me. It's a pretty cool little thing. Yeah, it's we've seen these before that essentially do the same thing. You connect it to your Wi-Fi network. It checks for an internet signal occasionally. If it doesn't see one, then or it doesn't see Wi-Fi, it cycles power on the outlet and then waits and tries again a little bit later. It's $50. That seems to be about twice the price that I remember these types of things being when we talked about it in the past, John. But you know, if that's what they cost these days, that's what they cost. So very cool. And I like this idea. If you're traveling a lot, I can see this being super handy. Yeah, Yeah. I also highly recommend in general, but also very specifically for routers, putting them on a battery backup system, a UPS type of system. That keeps power flickers from causing issues with your devices. And because oftentimes the connection itself will remain just fine when there's a power flicker because your service provider uses battery backups. So if you have the ability to put your internal devices, the devices inside your house on battery backup, you will see a lot less of these types of issues. Doesn't mean though that it wouldn't also be good to have this in the line too. So good. What's next here? Oh, Donna's got something, for all of us, but maybe also for you. She found from the Retro MacCast podcast, Throwboy.com has some blankets that are Mac OS themed. And I was thinking if you're going to avoid putting blinds or something more typical behind you, you could get one of these throw blankets with a Mac OS logo or there's a 1984 throw blanket that has like a Mac Plus on it. They've got one with a Game Boy on it. They've got old cassette tapes, VHS tapes. It's pretty cool. So thank you for sending that along. They're about $50 a piece, give or take, and 47, I guess. Yeah, all exactly the same. So yeah, man, I know that. I think you might like the 1984 one. So anyway, I share. Thank you, Donna. Actually, it was Donna who shares. I just read. We're just the stewards of this content. We pass it along. You want to take us to Bob?
Yes. Bob says Dave was having issues with Evernote using the new interface. Were you?
No, I think it was you. It was having problems with Evernote's new interface. It doesn't matter.
So a suggestion is to use Joplin, joplinapp.org. I was able to transfer my notes from Evernote to Joplin. The thing that was most interesting to me was I can use my Synology for the backing store. I got a myname.synology.me DDNS and pointed Joplin to the storage area on my Synology. I did port forward through my Eero to get access to the Synology drive. I have access from all my Macs and my iPhone. For sharing between us, you might need to set up a Joplin account on Synology, or maybe your advanced Synology knowledge may have some other tricks. Okay, well,
cool.
Never heard of it. So.
I never heard of that either. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it supports AppleScript, which is our issue, right? Because Evernote did support AppleScript and does in the version we currently use, but not in the current version. They changed the foundational code, and so I'm not entirely sure what to do for our note sharing. Our current workflow works really well, but being able to AppleScript from typing a reply to one of your emails and having that automatically populate everywhere that it needs to populate, including putting it in the right Evernote notebook, it's pretty spectacular for us. Makes things very efficient. So I'm not sure what to do. If anybody finds a note-taking app that supports AppleScript, let us know. feedback@macgeekgab.com.
Did you say feedback@macgeekgab.com?
I did, and feedback at macgeekgab.com is easy for you to say, evidently, and not so much for me. But feedback at macgeekgab.com is also where you can send in your questions, tips, and cool stuff found. So, there you go. Where are we on time here? Let's see. Sure, we've been kicking this particular can down the road. We can get a little bit geeky here. Jessi shares a little bit of a geeky cool stuff found and says, over the years, I've learned just enough AppleScript and terminal commands to get my Mac to do what I want. But I've always had a problem getting my Mac to do what I wanted when I wanted. I used to use Automator to create calendar alarms, but they were temperamental and unreliable. I'm sure I injured a few scalp follicles due to my hair pulling in frustration. I tried out the app's Power Manager and Keyboard Maestro. I was able to use them to create and schedule macros, and they certainly are wonderful. But then I got caught by the do-it-yourself bug. So this is a good kind of getting caught. I decided to see if I could use the Mac's built-in capabilities to achieve what I wanted. When I learned about launch agents, I felt like Hermione Granger discovering a powerful spell book. Launch agents often get mentioned in the context of looking for agents installed by third parties or even those that are malicious software in order to remove them. However, they are simply a way that macOS allows talking to Launch D, the powerful daemon that runs its system startup and loads and runs services on demand. I decided to create my own launch agents. It turned out to be very doable for a mere mortal. I now have written 10 such launch agents to run various Apple scripts on my Mac at the times I find most useful. You can also schedule shell scripts or automator workflows if those are your things. Why bother? First, to go beyond the limits of the Mac GUI. And second, for the fun of it. I have agents that sleep my Mac at different times on different days. Oh, that's interesting. Orchestrate which AirPlay speakers should play what, when, and how loud. Mount and run my Time Machine backups on my chosen schedule. Export archives of my calendars and contacts weekly. Oh, this is getting interesting. Randomize my screensaver daily, and more. I finally feel like my powers of automation on the Mac have caught up to what I can do with shortcuts on iOS. Now I feel like Hermione having just mastered the big spell book. There are plenty of articles on the net, and Jessi, she gives us a few of them, so we will put those on. We will put those in the show notes. But yeah, this is very cool. So these articles talk about truly creating your own from scratch out of whole cloth. There is an app called Lingon that we have talked about many times on the show that lets you see the launch agents that are there. You can delete them, you can disable them, you can edit them, and yes, you can create new ones. So Lingon might be another tool for people like Jessi who want to do this kind of thing. But, you know, there you go. So very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Jessi. I know I said it was a little geeky. It's only a little geeky because you're right. These launch agents are not difficult to build. And with some of the articles that you gave us, I think people can get rolling. So yeah, you're right. This is interesting. I'll have to think about the automations that I do and whether I want to move some of those to my own handcrafted launch agents. So this is cool. In the chat room, Kiwi Graham is saying Launch Control might be another app to do some of this. So I will put that in the show notes and we will check it out and you can check it out. Yeah, it's from SomaZone. So that wouldn't surprise me that they would have an app like that. I feel like we've talked about it before. The Launch D GUI. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And is that Lingon is not free. I don't know if Launch Control is free or not. Not sure. I think it might be. Yeah, I'm downloading it now, so it certainly downloads for free. Download as trial versions. Test them. Okay, shop. Let's see. Personal licenses. Boy. Launch Control. $18. So there you go. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Jessi. Thanks, Kiwi Graham. Fun stuff. I like it. You want to take us to listener John with a cool stuff found?
Yes. John says, I was doing some research for my new car, a Tesla, which I talk more about in another tip. And I found two really cool things. One, I decided to repurpose a Samsung T7 SSD to use for my security and dash cameras in the Tesla instead of a USB stick for greater storage. Neat. And also better speed. While researching, I found out that Samsung has a free Magician software that will let you address their SSDs. And you can even control the over-provisioning, which is critical because if I use it for a security camera, then there are a lot of writes and rewrites. So I got a 1 terabyte and actually added 200 gigabytes to the over-provisioning to protect the drive. And then number two, an app for Tesla owners that is totally awesome, Stats. It not only adds a whole bunch of statistics you can look at, but you can also do more controlling than you can with the stock Tesla app. And it allows you to create Siri shortcuts via itself to be able to do voice controls for specific actions. It's not cheap, but it is awesome. Okay.
Huh. Yeah, I think it's like $50. But that's I can see where that would be worth spending the money on. If you had a Tesla and you wanted to dig in a little bit more, $50 is probably short money for that. So yeah, cool. All right. I got one more cool stuff found. Then we'll talk about our sponsors. We finally get to talk about the new BBEdit, and then we'll share some more of your tips and questions and keep on rocking here. The next cool stuff found that I have is Synology just launched C2 Password, and their free plan is available. So C2 is Synology's hosting arm, right? They, up until now, C2 has basically been used for sort of raw storage of backups and things like that. It's also used for their hybrid cloud that rolled out with DSM-7. Now, C2 Password is their password manager. It's probably not full-featured enough for us Mac users or Apple users yet, but the free plan is, I signed up for it. They allow you to store 10,000 items in the vault. They will import via a CSV file, so you could export your 1Password stuff or your LastPass stuff or whatever you have. It has a password generator. It's got the one-time password authenticator built into it. Secure file transfer. You can get your one-time passwords via email if you want. And you can, let's see, and they have mobile apps, sort of, not yet for us. And also the extension, I think, only works in Chromium browsers. So like Chrome and Edge right now, not Safari. So but you know, Synology has been great about apps for iPhone users. And so I'm expecting, if that's not already out, I'm expecting it will come soon. I'm looking as we're talking here, John, to see if there is C2 Password app in the App Store yet. And there is not. But I expect that we will see one soon. So keep your eyes peeled. I wouldn't recommend switching to it yet unless all of the things I mentioned sound like they are perfect fits for you. But I'm excited to see that out there. So, any thoughts on that, Mr. Braun?
No.
All right. Well, then I'm good with cool stuff found if you're good, and I'm ready to go on to our sponsors if you are.
Okay.
First up today is Barebones, and I am very excited that we get to talk about BBEdit 14. It's true. They put out another version. It's amazing. A lot is the same. I mean, like their generous eval mode, 30 days of full functional app that you get to try it out. Fresh eval period for all customers. If you used an old version, you get the full 30 days with 14. That's cool. And then there's discounted upgrade pricing if depending on which previous version you have. But after the 30 days, it remains functional in free mode, which gives you a lot. One of the cool things that I love about BBEdit 14, I have often, probably more often than I care to admit, used BBEdit to write notes for myself. This is something evidently lots of people do. And what you wind up with is a list of, about 400 untitled documents, because that's what happens when you add a note. Well, no longer. BBEdit has a notes feature. And when you start typing a note, it titles it much like Apple Notes with the first line of the note so that you can actually go and find things. Really smart for them to do this. It'll allow me to have my code separate from the little snippets of information that I capture while I'm in there doing things with my code and other things like that. Very cool stuff. It's super smooth. There's so much more that they've put in there that I can't wait to tell you about. For now, just go check it out. Barebones.com, BBEdit 14. Thanks to Barebones for sponsoring this episode. Next up is Otherworld Computing with their OWC USB-C Travel Dock. I have used lots of different travel docks over the past couple of years now that we're fully immersed in USB-C land. I was teaching that class at UNH last semester. I was using an off-brand, different travel dock. It wouldn't work with like the camera that they have. They have this OWL 3D camera thing, and then I had to plug in my HDMI so that I could, display on the screens and all that stuff. No bueno, didn't work. That's because not all USB ports are created equal. I got the OWC USB-C Travel Dock, plugged it in. Camera works on all 3 ports. I didn't have to do any guesswork. When you're teaching a class for the first time, and I don't mean that particular class for the first time, like literally I am not a teacher. So there's a lot of stress that went through my head each time that I got into that classroom. It was super nice to know that I had no stress from my USB-C Travel Dock. Truly, to be able to get there, plug in, and know that, okay, the technology's working. Now all I got to do is teach. Easier said than done, but at least the tech worked. OWC's USB-C Travel Dock made that happen for me. It can make it happen for you. Go check it out. It's online there at maxsales.com. Of course, we've got a link in the show notes. And our thanks to OWC for sponsoring this episode. All right, John, we have an interesting little tidbit from listener Todd. So Todd's tidbits. My wife and I traveled from the U.S. to Italy and returned last week. I put an AirTag in each of our checked bags. We were able to track them through our multiple legs from the U.S. to our destination in Italy. After a great time in Italy, we started our 3-leg return flights home. All went well until our final leg, JFK to I.A.D. The flight was canceled 1.5 hours prior to departure late on a Saturday evening with bad storms up and down the East Coast. We ended up crashing at a family member's house in Long Island and catching a flight the next day out of LaGuardia. Our checked bags remained at JFK. No worries. The Find My app showed them at Terminal 4 at JFK the entire time. Monday, they were flown to I.A.D., then a courier who picked them up, presumably with an iPhone, because we could track their progress, to our home the entire time. Good real-world results with AirTags. I like it. That's great. Yeah, in the past, I always put tiles in my luggage, and with our upcoming travels, I will definitely be using AirTags for the same purpose. That's great, Todd. I like it. I like it. Fun. Did you see the I forget which YouTuber it was, sent AirTags in the mail? I think they were in like France, maybe. Anyway, France or Germany or something. Sent AirTags in the mail to a few places. One was like North Korea, and it didn't make it. Or maybe it did, but you can't track AirTags in North Korea because the functionality is disabled there. And then the other two were sent, one to Elon Musk and one to Tim Cook. The one to Elon Musk went into like its last known location was like a recycling factory or something. So it was destroyed. The one sent to Tim Cook was actually sent back from the office of the president at Apple, or the office of the CEO, I guess. And with a letter from one of Tim Cook's assistants saying, thanks for sending this. What a cool thing. Here's your AirTag back. And yada, yada, yada. Very cool. Check the box. So, I don't know. Fun. It's cool. What's amazing to me and shouldn't be amazing is that with Tile, people had to have the Tile app on their phone in order to track these things. Whereas now people just need the latest build of iOS and it sort of does it as long as the phone is new enough. And there's enough of there's critical mass. There's way more than critical mass out there to just track AirTags no matter where they are, which that's the amazing part to me, which is cool. So it's fun. Yeah.
The thing I did like about Tile is that you could use your Tile to find your phone.
Can't you do that with an AirTag? No, I guess not. There's no button on the AirTag to do that. That's right.
No, I tried pressing it, and yeah, it didn't work.
Right. Yeah. Well, get yourself an Apple Watch. Then you can find your phone with your watch.
Okay.
Yeah. It is fun. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Todd. Good little. It's good. Like, not only is it interesting, it's actually good. All right. Kirit has a question, John. Kirit writes, I have some old defunct email accounts that are listed in Apple Mail that I have not used for years. However, I am finding it very difficult to delete them. Every time I delete one, it comes back being synced via iCloud. Do you have any ideas? Yeah. So when you go to remove one of these accounts, it says, do you want to remove this IMAP account, blah, 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 from all your computers using iCloud Keychain? Removing it from all computers will remove it from this Mac, and then it'll list other devices that it's going to remove it from. And you can click cancel or remove from all. And it will go away. And then it will come back. You'll get this new accounts added notification, and back they are. I have seen this exact same thing. And the way I've solved it is by deleting it and then going to one of the other Macs, if it comes back, and deleting it from there. One of the Macs is deciding to act as the master. And so going around to all of the computers that have that sync to it has been the way I've been able to do it. I'm sure there's other ways, and if you know of them, feedback@macgeekgab.com. But that's how I have solved that problem in the past. And it's persistence. It's a little bit of brute forcing. So have you seen this before, John?
No.
Interesting. Yeah. So would you solve it a different way?
When I'm wondering if there is stuff left in the keychain.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's iCloud keychain that's doing this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe popping into the keychain. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that you would see it in keychain access. I don't think they're listed there. Let me pull this up. No. I don't think so. Let's see. What do I call my mail accounts? Let me look. So if I go into System Preferences, Internet Accounts, I have one, that is called BBM IMAP Alt. And no, there is nothing in my, let's see, BBM IMAP. Oh, no. You got to be able to type to be able to do this stuff. No, it's not there. It's not in my iCloud. It's not listed in keychain access. It is syncing via iCloud keychain, but it's not manipulatable in the keychain access app. No, it would be nice if it were. Yeah. Good call. I like that line of thinking, though. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I do see. Yeah, I see some application password entries. I just searched for one of my emails.
Yeah.
It did come up, so.
For the password will be there for sure, but this is the account that lives in System Preferences Internet Accounts. Yeah. And it's you can tie it to mail and contacts and calendars and notes and whatever else the account officially supports. But yeah, I think keychain access isn't where they live or where they're visible. I think the only place in the GUI that you can see them is in Internet Accounts. But so yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully removing it from the other devices will work. I suppose what you could do is remove it and then log out of iCloud and then go remove it from another machine and log out of iCloud and remove it from another until there's none left, and then log just one machine back in, let it do its syncing. If it comes back again, well, now you know there's only one place that it's being stored, so remove it from that. Hopefully that will, kind of become the master. That's the trick there. So, all right. You want to take us to Bob?
Bob got a quick one here.
All right.
Bob says, sometimes when attempting to connect to hotel or public hotspots, you need to tickle the login page. You can often use one of the following URLs to wake up the login page, either neverssl.com or captive.apple.com.
Yes, that's it. These, and the key about both of the URLs that John just mentioned there is using HTTP, not HTTPS, because the issue most of the time is that the captive portal pages work by doing a DNS redirect in a hotel, and of course, if it tries to show you. If you try to load, let's say, Microsoft.com, right? HTTPS Microsoft.com. And what's delivered to you is a site that doesn't have a certificate that matches Microsoft.com. Your Mac's just going to stop dead in its tracks. It's not going to do anything. And that's a problem. So going to load a site that will never use SSL is the key. And that's what http://never SSL does. Apple's captive portal at captive.apple.com does the same thing. So yeah, no, I've used that many times. That's good advice. Yeah.
And just a tip from me regarding this is I would have that problem sometimes on iOS. Settings, Wi-Fi, the SSID of the access point. There's an auto join choice, which you can turn on and turn off. So for those access points, if you're going to use them again, you may want to say auto join.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, even with auto join, I've found sometimes I still get the captive portal page. But you're right. iOS is smart about remembering that for a lot of them. That's a good point. Yeah. Fair. Cool. Well, we put links to both of those things in there, but never SSL is an easy one to remember. And yeah, it's good. It is good. It is good. All right. John. Not you. Well, you, because we're going to talk about a question from listener John. I love this question. He asks, I've got 3 Samsung 500 gig T5 external SSDs. I'm using a Mac Mini 2018 with a 1 terabyte internal SSD running Big Sur. Is it possible, or even practical, somehow to combine these external drives to make a larger 1 terabyte or 1.5 terabyte SSD for backups or data storage rather than buying another single large SSD? And is being portable versus internal in this setup an issue? So no, all of the above is totally fine. And believe it or not, Mac OS will do it for you. If you go into Disk Utility, go to the File menu, you will see RAID Assistant. When that comes up, it will ask you to choose from one of 3 options: striped, mirrored, or concatenated, which is a JBOD. For what you're doing, it sounds like you probably want to do a JBOD, which is just a bunch of disks. So it can put them all together and you get the full storage of whatever you've put in there. There's no fault tolerance because it's not really RAID, but you get all the storage pulled together as one volume. Now, the issue would be if one of those drives dies. Then that's the end of that. Maybe. You'll have to see. So make sure to keep a backup. But otherwise, yeah, that'll do it, which is pretty cool. Have you ever done this, John?
No.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you did it with like a bunch of USB sticks once or something.
I've suggested that one. Yeah, I never pursued it, but the thing is, I have hundreds of, these USB sticks.
Yeah.
We get them, press kits on them usually. I was thinking if I could get a USB hub with enough plugs that you could put all those drives in there and then make one big disk, but I never pursued it. And it probably wouldn't be that fast anyways.
Oh, it'd be terribly slow. But like for the SSDs, if you have enough USB 3 ports, yeah, that would work. Yeah.
Yeah, huh. I let my RAIDs take care of that.
Right. That's the thing is once you, yeah, of course. But having a direct attached drive for like photos can't be stored on a NAS, right? So they have to be stored on a direct attached drive. So if you want them external, then putting them, on one of these JBOD things, just make sure that all the disks stay there and then back it up somewhere, like to your NAS or something like that. So, All right. You want to take us to listener John with some CarPlay fun?
Yes. John has some CarPlay hacks. So as I mentioned above, I got a Tesla. I used to have a Volvo XC60. Just fair warning, I've drunk the Kool-Aid, put the clerical collar on me, and call me an evangelist. I love my Tesla, but I'll promote any electric vehicle that is decently made. Okay, 2 CarPlay hacks. The first is if you have a wired CarPlay in your car and you are jonesing for that sweet, sweet wireless CarPlay, most cars can use a small device out of China that will plug into the CarPlay USB port in the car and turn it into wireless CarPlay without any real intervention on the user's part, except maybe a little firmware upgrade now and then. There are a bunch of knockoffs, but I found one to be the original CarLink it. Okay.
Yeah. No, CarLink would be the one for that. Yeah.
Let's see. You must check your car in their compatibility list. Most work my Volvo did, but my wife's Subaru did not, and it's not on the list. The Uber Geek CarPlay hack when you don't have CarPlay. Okay, so I love my Tesla, but I also love my Apple devices and my CarPlay. I still want the MGG app to have a CarPlay icon. Fish shake. Okay.
Fish shake received.
So I did a whole bunch of geek search, see what I did there, and came up with the following way to add CarPlay to any car that doesn't have it. I got myself a refurb 8-inch Amazon Fire HD tablet for $45. Yeah, an Android tablet to serve Apple CarPlay. Isn't that rich? You can use a lot of different Android platforms, but it has to be fairly recent and use a USB-C as the charge interface because that supports on-the-go cables. I then got a J5 Create USB-C media adapter, like the Apple one, but cheaper, that has a USB-A and a USB-C for power. It also has an HDMI, but that is unused. Then you need a connector brain of a CarLink adapter, but a different one than the above solution. It is for non-CarPlay Android head units. Then you need some kind of mount for the tablet, and there's a mount. If your car doesn't have USB-C power ports, then you will need to have a 12-volt USB-C power adapter for your car to the list. Armed with the above, you download the Android app on the Fire tablet. The URL to download it in the CarLink adapter box in the documentation in very tiny print. Then you plug the CarLink kit into the media adapter, connecting USB-C power as well, and then plug the media adapter into the tablet. Run the AutoKit app on the tablet, and then once it recognizes everything, you can Bluetooth pair it to your iPhone, which will do the CarPlay handshake and then switch to Wi-Fi. Boom, you have wireless CarPlay. As a side note, the latest software update did something really cool. In the advanced settings of the app, you can set the audio channel to Bluetooth. What that will do is leave your phone paired via Bluetooth to the car for audio input-output, as you have probably had until now, and the controls are all paired into the CarPlay. That means you don't have to figure out an audio connection from the tablet to your car's stereo speakers and mics. Okay.
Wow. What a hack. That's great. I will ask Jon, or maybe you can reply to Jon and ask him to publish that in the forums, because he's got some pictures and everything, and that would be great. And then we can link to that here. Wow. Yeah, very cool. What a great thing, though, to have CarPlay in. I love that using an Android screen for that. What a that's a smart move. Yeah. Yeah. You folks need to see these pictures. So we'll see if Jon will post these in the forums for us. Very, very cool stuff. All right. We've got, I'm thinking we don't need to go super long today, Jon. And I want to talk about, there's a few more that I think we can do that would be good. Jedd had an interesting question. He says, I'm approaching a new project and I have a problem that I always struggle with. I'm wondering if you have any ideas, or maybe the Hive Mind has some. He says, I'll be working on a 6-month project where I get over 100 video clips that I may or may not use. I'm editing a TV show and we're getting a lot of archival footage. They do not come in all at once, and keeping them organized is super time intensive and prone to the worst kind of error, aka human. And this is where the problem goes beyond me looking for a simple solution, but just for me, but maybe more useful for a wider circle of people. Is there a way to drop everything into one folder and have that folder be watched by the Mac, and then whenever a new file is added, just to have that file name added to a text document, or even better, a Google Sheet? In the past, I've taken huge contents of folders, selected them all, and copied them, and then pasted them using paste and match style to create a file list. But then I copy them into the Google Sheets and organize them. I can put where they came from and maybe some other information, and when new files come in, I need to do this manually, which isn't the end of the world, but it does feel a whole lot like the kind of automation a computer can do. Okay, so whenever I hear I want to watch a folder, immediately my mind jumps to Hazel from Noodlesoft, because that's what Hazel does, is it watches folders. And so that's, I think, going to be the key here. I use Hazel to do something very similar to what Jedd's doing here. When we get your audio comments in, we want to put those into Evernote, like we were talking about earlier in the show. But that's tedious, right? So what I have is a specific folder that actually not only is shared amongst all my computers, but is also shared to Jon's computers. And whenever any of us save a file into that, Hazel watches that folder, and when it sees something new, it springs into action, and in my case, runs an Apple script, but it only runs on one of my Macs, so it's not trying to fire off all at the same time. And then that puts a copy of the file into Evernote, moves the original to the trash. It could rename it. It could do kinds of things. So that would be, I think Hazel is going to be your thing here, because Hazel can do all kinds of different things to a file, again, including running not just AppleScript, but Automator, shell scripts, and even JavaScripts on these. So you've got a lot. And then also, it can move and rename and copy and do all sorts of things that are baked, features that are baked into Hazel. But I think Hazel's going to be your key for watched folders. It is sort of the path to automation when that's involved. So that would be my answer. I don't know if you have a different thought on that, Jon.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Did you even know that happened? I think you've done it once or twice and just had it magically appear in Evernote. I don't know that you and I have ever talked about that. So, yeah. So that's what that's there for. Not that there's a folder called like MGG audio comments or something that's synced in our MGG shared folder. So, yeah. You want to share Walt's follow-up?
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about document management software, and I babbled something about Fujitsu makes something, but I didn't follow up. So I'm going to follow up. It's called ScanSnap Home. It's the successor to ScanSnap Manager. But then ScanSnap Manager broke with an OS upgrade, so they came out with something new. So it's free. It'll do searchable PDFs, which is nice. So I guess they licensed something.
Cool.
So yeah, links in the show notes. Click on that and see if you want to try out their software.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Fun stuff. I like it. All right. We have a question from Andrew, who asks, I have a consulting client with a 2015 iMac who I helped wipe her original 2 terabyte Apple Fusion drive with the max number of scrubs, but now she wants to sell it. So can you go over the best way for her to install an OS and which one? I think Catalina makes sense, but maybe Mojave. Does she just need to create a username and password using her name or what's the right way to do this? And can she also go to network preferences and delete any of her SSIDs from her Wi-Fi networks? So actually, I think the way I like to do it is far simpler than the questions you're asking, because you're right. Worrying about, putting SSIDs in and removing those and username and password and what do you use? And, do you got to worry about iCloud Drive and all that stuff? What I would do, the first thing I do is deauthorize from Apple Music, or if the machine's old enough, iTunes, so that you don't run into that problem down the road. Because once you format the drive, you can't do that anymore other than doing it widespread. And that can be kind of a pain in the neck. So once I've done that, I boot into recovery mode. I wipe the drive. I install the latest OS that will install on it. That's where I always start with these things. If I'm, repurposing a machine to give to a family member or to sell or whatever the latest OS is, that's what I put on it. And then when it reboots and gets to the part where the OS is fully installed and it's asking you those questions where if you leave it on that screen long enough, it starts speaking to you in many different languages, turn off the computer and ship it. That's it. Because that way, the person who gets it has that fresh out of the box experience. You don't have to give them a username and password. You don't have to worry that there is a username and password on there, because it's not. Yours is not part of this. You've just wiped the drive. You've installed a fresh OS. They get to start and walk in from scratch. They can use Migration Assistant. They are the ones setting up the very first user account, and it's all clean and pristine. So that's how I do it. And it's worked well for me over the years. So obviously, if somebody has a better or different suggestion, feedback at macgeekgab.com. But that's how I do it. What do you do, Jon, in that scenario?
I can't find his note here.
It doesn't matter. The note's gone. I read it from another thing. So just answer. We've talked enough. What would you do when prepping a new iMac? Or prepping a Mac for sale, right? You've had a Mac and now you're letting it go to someone else?
Oh, what I would do is do what Apple says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me find the article.
Well, we can put a link in the show notes later. What's generally Apple's
Yeah, here we
advice
go.
on
What
that?
to do before you sell, give away, or trade in your Mac.
Great.
So they got a support article. Create a backup, sign out of iTunes, sign out of iCloud, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, that's what I do. So
Okay.
I'll link to this little ditty here.
Do they, I put the link in the show notes for you. Does Apple in that say, they say sign out of iCloud, sign out of iMessage, reset the NVRAM, erase your hard drive and reinstall macOS. After macOS installation is complete, the Mac restarts to a setup assistant that asks you to choose a country or region. To leave the Mac in an out-of-the-box state, don't continue. Instead, press Command-Q to shut down the Mac. So there's the part that I didn't know. Command-Q, I've just turned it off at that point, but evidently Command-Q will let it shut down nicely, which is even better. When the new owner turns on the Mac, the setup assistant guides them through the setup process. Perfect. That's great. Cool. All right. Listener Rick asked sort of the opposite question. My friend has a 2014 27-inch iMac that is annoyingly slow with 24 gigs of memory. My suggestion for getting extra life from it was to, at least until the 27-inch, the larger Apple Silicon iMac is available, is to either replace the internal hard drive with an SSD or just use an external SSD as the startup disk. But I don't know if the Thunderbolt is fast enough to be worthwhile. Your recommendations would be appreciated. So yeah, that 27-inch, is the OG Retina iMac, right? That's the first of the Retina iMacs and is what I had in my office up until that new M1 Mini arrived that I traded that domain for a couple of months ago. And quite honestly, I got it with an SSD out of the gate. And with that SSD in there, it did fine. Like it was doing fine even up until a couple of months ago. So I would definitely say that putting an SSD as its boot drive is the answer. I would not rip it open and do that unless you have some reason to want to have an SSD inside it in the future. It's an iMac. It's not portable. Having an external drive that you boot from is no problem with that Mac. So I would just go with an external SSD. And then when it's time to move to whatever the next Mac is, you can take that SSD with you and, migration assistant from it to the internal drive of the new Mac and then use that SSD for whatever you want. Maybe that's your external storage for your, for your photos library or whatever. And that way you could get a smaller internal drive for your next iMac and you've got this external drive to do your storage with. So that's what I would do. I don't know. What would you do, John?
I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Now that machine has USB 3, I would assume.
Oh yeah, it's Thunderbolt 2.
And Thunderbolt 2. Okay.
Yep.
Which is what, 20 gigs?
20. It's 20 gigabit Thunderbolt. That's right. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, either of those should be snappy enough.
Exactly. Yeah. No. That machine runs super fast. It's great. Make sure it's got enough RAM in it, but it sounds like it already does. So yeah, it's good. All right. You got anything else you want to do, John, or is it time to maybe give our listeners back some of the time that we've borrowed from them over the years?
Let's get the hook.
Let's get the hook. The hook's on. It's good. Thanks for listening, folks. We will head back to the mailbag and see you there. We've actually got lots of stuff still to talk about. Gosh, we have a whole section of cool stuff found that we've not gotten to yet. So there's lots of things to do. For those of you that watch and listen live, and if you don't, you can at live.macgeekgab.com, and you can subscribe to the calendar at macgeekgab.com/calendar. We're doing 2 shows next week, Thursday morning and Friday morning. Normally we're on Friday mornings Eastern time. We're also doing Thursday morning. So if either of those works for you and you want to join us, live.macgeekgab.com is where you go. And again, macgeekgab.com/calendar. That's the same calendar that John and I use. So it is guaranteed to be correct, because if it's on there, we're here. And if it's not on there, we're not going to be here. So that's what I got. You got anywhere else to send them, Jon, before we move on here?
Oh, yeah. I just went here. YouTube.com/MacGeekGab podcast. I think is the
I think that's right.
URL.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was asked to watch the video.
Watch the videos.
And a few things bothered me.
Are you what, do you want to talk about those things, or are you just working on them, fixing them?
No, it was just I changed a few things on my video setup here.
Cool. Well, you look good and sound good today. Although at some point, well, we'll see. There's all kinds of things to do. There's always tweaks to be made.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, that's what I got. All right, folks, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for checking out all our sponsors. Of course, the two sponsors from this episode, barebones.com and maxsales.com, where you can check out BBEdit 14 and the OWC USB-C Travel Dock, respectively. Of course, you can check out all the other sponsors if you go to macgeekgab.com/sponsors. And that's what we got. Make sure you go check those out. We keep all the deals alive there for you. macgeekgab.com/sponsors. So, good stuff. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. I mean, it seems only fitting to let this happen.
Don't get caught. Don't get caught. Don't get caught. Don't get caught.
Made up.